Well, I've cleared my memory cards last night, charged my batteries up, packed everything away, ready to fly out to Venice tomorrow. But then I'll check the forecast. Yeah, mist. Take a look at this. See that in the background? Couldn't resist. Let's get set up. This is why I get up at stupid o'clock in the morning. Just look at this. I'm up here just above Modbury Church, which you can just see in the distance there. I don't know what time it is at the moment. It's quite early. You can see the mist building up in the distance. You can hear my camera clicking away. I'm actually doing a time lapse at the moment. This is a great subject for time lapse. It's basically the mist is moving across the valley, and I'm going to shoot this over a period of probably about an hour. So I'll end up with probably about near on 1,000 pictures, which I'll put together in Lightroom and LR Timelapse, which is a program that correlates with Lightroom. I will do a separate vlog at some stage to show you how that works. But yeah, this is great. Couldn't resist this. I've been waiting for this for the last couple of weeks, this mist. The sun's due up at any moment. You can just see the clouds at the top there. They're just starting to pick up some light. Yeah, this is great fun. I love this. It's one thing with shooting at dawn like this. You get a bit of fog on the lens occasionally because of the change in temperature. It's always best to keep your camera set up a few minutes before you start. Every now and then, just to give it a quick wipe over before you take a shot. Time lapse. How do you shoot a time lapse? I basically set the camera up. I shoot a picture. You can hear it clicking away in the background there. Every 5 seconds the camera takes a picture. So in between that time, the picture shifts, if you like, or the scene shifts, especially with things like mist. At the moment the mist is kind of moving quite fast. There's not much cloud movement, but the mist is moving, so it's constantly changing. So the time lapse, every sort of 5 seconds the picture is taken, and it shows that change. And over a period of time, here for instance about an hour, you'll get that nice sort of shift in the mist, and obviously the light changes as well. I tend to set the camera up in AV mode, aperture priority, so choose my aperture, let the camera adjust for the change in light. I have got a few little little dongles, if you like, that I can plug into the camera and do a thing called bulb ramping. Well, that's a whole different set of rules, but this is just a simple static shot set up with the with my intervalometer. And that's basically doing it for me. So I've set the shot up and just wait for it to do its thing. This lens is fogging up now. So in my interval time, I've got 5 seconds to basically try and wipe the lens off. It's an art form in itself. Done. Well, about half an hour into this time lapse now. The change is it's brilliant. It's every couple of minutes it's changing, so this should be quite a good time lapse. The light change is quite dramatic, even in this sort of half an hour period I've been shooting the time lapse. So it's jumped by at least a couple of stops in light. This is why I use AV mode, because the camera basically adjusts itself during that time. You can't sort of go in. If I shot this in manual mode, for instance, I couldn't go in and adjust the exposure during the time lapse because obviously camera movement and all that sort of thing. So this is why I use AV mode. When you put the time lapse together in Lightroom time lapse, you basically create keyframes and you can adjust your exposures at various points in the time lapse, and then it locks all the rest of the exposures in and basically smooths out that transition so it doesn't give that sort of juddery effect. So 4 steps for a time lapse. Number 1, set your camera up. Make sure everything's locked down and not going to move. Frame the shot and put any sort of filtration in place. Best not to use a polarizer because that can create sort of uneven polarization in the sky, and that will go right across the time lapse otherwise. I'm using a grad on this shot, simple grad, nothing's moving, so it's going to be a static time lapse. Number 2, set your camera in AV mode. Choose your aperture for this particular scene. I think it's f13 or f11. That obviously doesn't change, but in AV mode obviously the exposure changes right through. Number 3, set the intervalometer up. Okay, this is my intervalometer. It's a very inexpensive little gadget. Basically, to do a time lapse, you go into the N button there, so it looks like a little plane on it. Press that one. This brings up a number of settings. The first one's delay. Now, I don't normally bother setting that one, but you can sort of set in a delay in seconds, minutes or hours for when you want the time lapse to start. So if I skip through the arrow there, the next one is long exposure. Again, that doesn't sort of matter on this. Next one is your interval time, which is quite important. Press the select button in the middle, and then you can go up and down through seconds, minutes or hours if you want. So I set 5 seconds on this one. Press select again. Your interval time depends on the subject really, but for this particular scene I've got a 5-second interval time. That's enough time between each shot to show the movement of the mist and some of the clouds in the top. But again, it depends on what your subject is. If you're shooting, for instance, a star trail at night, you want about probably at least 30 seconds interval time in between each shot, and that gives you your star trail, basically a star trail effect. Things like if you're shooting in the middle of the day, you can get away with a shorter interval time if the clouds are moving faster, for instance. But if the clouds are moving slow, then obviously you extend your interval time to sort of create more movement between each shot. Go across to the next one. Now this is your first stage of how many times around that you want the sequence to go. So I've set 99. It goes up to 99 and then back to 1. So it'll take 99 series of pictures and then jump back and start again. Go across to the next one. This is the repeat function. I normally set it to 1, so it repeats every 99 shots. It repeats the sequence over and over again. And the last one, which is N2 at the top there, this is an infinity mark. Make sure it's set on infinity, and then the sequence will just keep going over and over and over again. And then when you're ready to start the time lapse, you press the play button there, press that one, and then the sequence starts. So every 5 seconds it takes a shot. another 5 seconds, takes a shot, and it'll just repeat and repeat and repeat until you press the stop button. And then number 4, I always set my timer on my either my watch or my phone for a length of time. So in this case I'm shooting for roughly an hour, but again, just depends on what the conditions are. The sun's just starting to come up now, so I might wait a bit longer than an hour, and you'll end up with a whole thousands of pictures normally. Then just a case of waiting, watching and enjoying the landscape. Okay, that's just over an hour shooting now, so I'm going to stop the sequence because the mist has kind of lifted now. The sun's not going to break through, I don't think, so it's quite a heavy cloud cover come over. So I'm going to stop the sequence now, and I'm going to have a quick scrub through to see what it looks like on the camera. Okay, so press my playback button to get the images up, and then literally just quickly scroll through the shots. And you can see the movement there then. Okay, it's pretty successful. I'm going to go back, pack my bags, charge my batteries, clear my cards again, all ready for jetting off to Venice. So I hope you can join me over there. I'm going to do a couple of vlogs while I'm away. Like I say, subscribe, click the notification bell, and you'll be notified when the vlogs go live. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.